Should probably start filming this animation. Let's have some natural lighting. Looking good. What? Blue tack on the bottom of the base plates. Don't need that. That's perfect. Okay, looking good. Now all I need is my brick built stand. Oh, there's a figure over there. Well, I hope you all enjoyed my slightly shambolic attempt at comedy there, but what I'm really getting at is how do you ensure this doesn't happen? How do you get a brick filming setup that's right for you and right for what you're trying to create? There's so many combinations of lighting and backgrounds and all sorts of different things you can put into it, but what I want to get at in today's video is show you the options, show you what I've used in the past, show you what works and what doesn't work so well, and hopefully you can decide for yourself by the end of it what you're aiming for and what brick filming setup you want to use. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is something that everybody can do, and that's just some sort of background. Like, nobody wants a wall in the background. Even a coloured wall, often it just doesn't come off very well, and you want to be able to change that through your brick films. So the way I like to do this is use a piece of cardboard, and then simply, as I've done here, is just blue tack one of these sheets onto it, as you can see down there. This is a really long sheet of cardboard, and there's a lot of space there. I've got another big bit of card here that's been painted blue. But what you really want to avoid is sticking blue tack to your wall, because you're going to get nasty marks like that, and nobody really wants that. It doesn't look very nice. So ultimately that's what you want to start getting for your background. And the big note is don't film on the floor, guys. Don't do it. People are going to stand on your sets. It's not going to be fun. Don't film on the floor. I've learned that the hard way many times. Welcome to setup 1, and this is just with simple desk lamps. So there's a lot of advantages and a couple of disadvantages to using this really simple setup. The first is obviously that it's fairly cheap. Each desk lamp's going to cost you about £10, and maybe that's around the same sort of thing in terms of dollars. So 2 of them is going to cost you £20. You probably want 2 lights. I think that's kind of essential because you want to get some really good coverage of your set. And another really good thing is you can use a brick built stand, which I don't have quite right now, but you know what a brick built stand is. You don't need some sort of tripod for this, and it's just really, really cheap and easy to use. Again, the digital background is another thing you can incorporate into this really small design. However, that feeds on a little bit into the disadvantages, and that is you can't do loads with it. Obviously, the lamps aren't super covering of all the range around the set, and you're only going to be able to fit 1 base plate, I would say, with this setup if you want to make sure you don't really get any light flicker. At least that's been from my experience of it. I think the lighting can be a little bit flickery with desk lamps. I have had that problem in the past, but light flicker is an easy remedy. You need blinds or curtains or something to block out any natural light. Wear a black t-shirt, all the other essential things that you need. Once again, you can use bricks here just to quickly block out all the apps and things underneath. Maybe there's a setting you can get rid of that on. But that's a really easy fix, and this too is a very, very cheap and effective way to make a brick film. So our second setup involves the light box. Now, I gave my light box away to a friend because I considered that I just wouldn't use it again, for several reasons that I'm going to detail here. But first, the positives: it does give you all-around lighting on your set, and it does give you good depth in terms of base plates. Just like the box light set I'm going to show you a little bit later on, you can fit 2 rows of 2 base plates in. And there are a lot of disadvantages, however, though, because there are quite a few light flicker problems I used to have with the light box, as well as it's pretty restricted in terms of what angles you can take, as if you can imagine there are 3 sides just looking at the image here, and you just can't take very many angles with that, and it's not too creative. It's also got a pretty poor width. You can fit 1 or 2 base plates depending on how big the light box is, but that's just similar to your sort of ring lamp setup as well. And I would not recommend using a brick built stand if you're going for this method at all, because you want to maximize as much space as you can with your light box, so it probably requires some sort of tripod, which is going to add a bit to the cost. So overall, I would say almost any of these methods except the lightbox are probably viable to use. Now, the lightbox does have an advantage in the fact that it is about £20, which is kind of the same amount as your 2 desk lamps, and for that you do get the extra depth. But it's up to you whether you really want to use the lightbox method, as it's simply got some drawbacks as well that you probably want to consider before you buy that. With this third setup, the ring lamp, you can use either a really small tripod like this, which does not cost anything, or you can use a brick built stand just like before. And the advantages to this is that you get a lot more space here, you get a lot more width, perhaps not necessarily depth, but you might be able to work with that. I'm not sure, I've never tried it with 4 base plates. However, a really big advantage to this lamp is that you can effectively change its colour. Not only can you change its colour, but you can change the brightness of it by just using a simple remote that comes with it. So you can change the colour to, say, a yellower shade like that, and combining this with just a simple desk lamp with also a yellow light, you gain that really even yellow light, and you can just switch that up in Stopmotion Studio and make it look white or blue or whatever you want if you need to. But making sure the lights are matching colours is a really important thing, and because of the ring lamp can just change whatever colour you want, you can match it with a desk lamp and make it fairly affordable at about 30 quid rather than spending 40 on 2 of these ring lamps. But that's totally up to you. Our fourth and our final lighting setup is what I showed you at the start of the video, and it's using these box lights. Now, box lights are absolutely brilliant at covering a really vast amount of space. As you can see here, I can fit 4 base plates on here. I can probably even fit 5 with a bit of a squeeze, but I just want to make sure the lighting will cover all the set. So I've clearly got those 4 base plates, and also it provides depth, which is a really important thing. We can provide another layer of these base plates at the back as well on this table, and because the lights are so big and powerful, they'll cover all this area. Now, the drawback with this is, of course, these lights are a bit more expensive, and unlike the previous setup, you are gonna probably want 2 of them if you want to get a really even coverage with your lights. They're about £30 each, and obviously that's probably a similar sort of thing in dollars, because the price does vary on what sort of website you buy it from, but that's going to be about £60 for the both of those lights. Now, if you're on a lower budget, I really would not recommend this setup, and you just want to do a small scale brick film on 1 or 2 base plates. The other setups are perfectly fine. This is not the best setup, it's just the one I use because I can cover the greatest amount of distance. I can build multiple areas in a set and just make the world come a bit more alive on this table, which is really what I love to do as an animator. But if you want to go for those small scale brick films and you're a bit low on the budget front, then don't buy this setup and go for one of the ones earlier. They're all excellent, with the exception of perhaps the lightbox setup. Thank you very much for watching today's video. If you've got any other ideas about brick filming setups you use that I haven't used or I don't know about, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear about them. As well, there is no perfect brick filmer setup. I think that's what you can take away from this video. The fact that there's multiple combinations of lighting and backgrounds you can use to make the perfect stop motion that's right for you. Anyway, I hope this video has helped you in some respect, and have a great time, and I'll see you in the next video.